We are starting off our broadcast tonight with a big question. Will China dare hijack India's space research market? I'm asking this question because there is good news and bad news. The good news is that India has allowed 100% foreign investment in the space sector. This is big. It will end up boosting India's space research. The bad news, however, is that a China, which is vying to become a leading space power, could block India's space dreams even before it gets a chance to lift off. As India opens its doors to foreign direct investment, could China find its way into taking part in India's space market? It's a legitimate concern. Just look at what India's space sector has been able to achieve so far. We have entered a new era in global space research. While in the 1960s, when India started its space program, we were still a developing country with limited resources. But today, the story is completely different. Today, India boasts of ambitious space exploration programs and an increased use of space for national security purposes, given security concerns regarding China and including Beijing's growing counter-space capabilities. These do drive India's space goals. In fact, last year, India's space ambition got a big boost when it became the first and only country to land on the unexplored south pole of the moon. With the success of Chandrayaan-3, India joined an elite club of countries that have been able to achieve a soft landing on the moon. This was just after a similar Russian mission had failed. India's space industry, though nascent as compared to global leaders like Russia, the US, China, has made big strides in cutting-edge technologies. Look at Chandrayaan-3, Aditya L1, and Exposat. These are all achievements that have demonstrated India's economic prowess in space technology. But more importantly, it has positioned India favorably on the global map. And what's more, India does all for cheap. India's space agency ISRO has been able to achieve all this at surprisingly low costs. Case in point, Chandrayaan-3. India's moon mission was not only historic, it was also budget-friendly. It cost only $74 million. Just for the sake of comparison, the Hollywood movie starring Sandra Bullock, Gravity, cost more. It cost nearly $100 million. And Christopher Nolan's movie, Interstellar, it cost $165 million. Now, India's moon mission was less than half the cost of Russia's South Pole lander, which misfired its engines and crashed. It was also cheaper than the estimated budget of NASA's planned Viper rover to the lunar South Pole. Not just the moon and Mars, India's growing space aspirations also extending to sending human beings to space. With ISRO's Gaganyaan mission, the human spaceflight mission is scheduled for the year. In fact, these missions also demonstrate India's ability to undertake complex projects despite tiny budgets. And this enhances the attractiveness of India's space launch facilities, which benefits the program's revenue stream and enhance India's soft power. As you can see, India's space odyssey has been one of frugality, also innovation. For a foreign investor, investing in the Indian space domain presents many opportunities. A liberalized space sector will benefit foreign players who wish to set up base in India. Let's not forget, India's space economy is on a trajectory to expand significantly. It has the potential to reach $44 billion by 2033. And this growth could position India to capture approximately 8% of the global space economy. Right now, India's current share in the global space economy is a modest 2%. But this promising projection is proof of India's increasing influence in the space industry. It is an exciting time to be in the space sector in India. Here I must mention, while India's approach to the space sector has been driven by a sense of pragmatism, it is also led by national security concerns. You see, changing space security conditions has prompted India to develop credible launch capabilities, and a mix of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and Earth observation satellites for military purposes. And these growing capabilities should increase the Indian military's situational awareness, especially of the areas around its borders. And some of India's earliest military satellites, like the RISAT series, were specifically meant to do this. Though initially developed in the context of terrorist threats after the 2008 Mumbai attack, these systems have broader utility for all of the country's military services. India has also deployed communication satellites that allow each branch to better coordinate operations. This is particularly important for the Navy, given its far-flung operational theatres. India's investment in its own navigation satellite constellation will help all Indian forces in all types of operations. It will help them situate themselves without the vulnerability of depending on foreign navigational satellites. So at a time when broader global space security trends and developments in the Indo-Pacific have pushed India to invest in military space capabilities, will India really allow China to hijack a strategic sector in India? The answer is no. You see, India does its due diligence. As it eases the entry of foreign investment, it has divided the space sector into three broad categories. Companies that make rockets that launch satellites, those that make satellites, and companies that make the parts for manufacturing satellites. India has allowed 74% foreign investment without approval from the government in satellite manufacturing and operations. This would open up easy entry for key players in the sector, such as Elon Musk's SpaceX or Maxar, Viasat, Intelsat, Airbus. Experts say for commercialization, satellite manufacturing is the most lucrative area, but companies will need Indian government's approval in order to increase the equity beyond the 74% stake in the operations. And similarly, the Indian government will allow only 49% FDI to build rockets and its parts. It will help gain interest from the likes of United Launch Alliance, Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin, and also SpaceX. Beyond 49%, the foreign investor will have to seek government approval. Yes, for the manufacturing of components for satellites, 100% foreign investment with no government approval is allowed. And this will lead to greater access to technology for critical communication systems such as transponders, antennas, power systems. Since space is a strategic sector, India will not allow opportunistic takeovers. Now, during the pandemic, when India first eased rules for private sector satellite and rocket companies to carry out independent space activities, FDI inflows from China in strategic sectors was restricted. You see, India is very well aware of China's modus operandi, buying a global influence through cash. In fact, around the world, China is buying its way to space collaborations. In a hilly region of Venezuela, a Chinese state-run company is building a ground station for satellites equipped with a huge antenna, suspected to be used for military purposes. Similar Chinese facilities are spread across various locations in Latin America, including Argentina and Brazil. And why just Latin America? Beijing has also offered support for development of space programs in African nations as well. And with the growing space security threats from China and a desire to enhance India's space capabilities as well as influence in global governance of space, New Delhi is likely to go ahead with its ambitious space goals in the coming years. And as far as we are concerned, it's the dawn of the new age space race. And India is at the forefront, poised to win the contest. We are now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.